Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Rosie and I graduated from the University of Oxford in 2019 and I'm now just about to start my Masters at Cranfield University in Forensic Archaeology and Anthropology. I have read a whole lot of journal articles in my time at uni and then also in my year off, purely because I find them really interesting and also because I wanted to prepare for my Masters kind of in my year out. So in my year out I worked as a teaching assistant, but in the evenings I had a lot of time to read articles and things like that. So I've had my fair share of reading them and I've kind of come up with a way of properly processing the information so that it actually goes in effectively and can be used in essays after that or in revision after that. So I thought I would share a sort of like 5-step instructional video on how to use journal articles effectively, how to make notes from them, and get the most out of them. There has been a video by Eve Cornwell on making effective notes, which is kind of for mostly textbook work. I've never really done textbook work for my course, so if you do sciences or law, textbooks might be useful, but also for the same courses journal articles are used. So just don't only watch one video. You might have different ways that you need to learn and other people's methods might actually suit you better. So step 1 is to read through the article first without making any notes. Yes, you're probably thinking, but that takes up so much time. Why would I waste my time doing that? I thought the same when I was at uni, like in the beginning, because time seems to go so fast and you end up having none of it. But actually sitting and reading it through before you make any notes or attempt to really understand it helps you understand it. Just take in the information. Highlight bits you think might be important, write down page numbers that are particularly important, but don't write anything unless like you look at something and you immediately think, got something, maybe annotate it, but don't dedicate your time this time round to properly writing stuff down. You just want to take in the information and highlight things that maybe pertain particularly to the question or to an argument that you've already seen that you might want to use, counter, that sort of thing. It just makes it easier to process the information and to process how this article can actually help answering a particular essay question or how it could fit a particular area of revision. This is actually easier to do printed out purely because then you can highlight it with a highlighter, but it also works fine if you want to leave it on the computer. Just have it in front of you, make sure you write down the page numbers that were useful, and then if you've got that software where you can highlight it, great, do that, but it's not a necessity. Bare necessity, why do I say that? Oh my gosh. It's not a necessity. Step number 2 is to read through it again. Yeah, you heard me, again. So this time you want to make your special notes of the highlighted areas and go specifically to the pages that you've written down that you thought were important. Specific areas that you might want to spend more time on are the abstract, just because it sums up the whole argument. The introduction, because then you could learn about some background and maybe context as to why this piece of information is important. The discussion, because that actually discusses, hence the name, what they found, why it's useful, how it relates to the wider literature. They put their findings in context, talk about why it might have happened, that sort of thing. And then the conclusion again sums up what they found but in much shorter words and also highlights what might be useful for the wider community or them in particular to do next in terms of this research, how this research can benefit the future as well. So step number 3 is to actually take your notes. So you'll be taking some notes in step 2 as well, but step number 3 is to like properly set out your page. So these are my notes for one of my essays on the screen now. I might put a couple of essays actually. So how I do it is I have a split screen and you have on one side of the page your notes as I have now, and then on the other side where I would be, I would have the article open. So I'd go through the article, put the headings that correspond to each section on your Word document, so you can match up where your notes came from. I'd basically set it up like introduction, method, discussion. If it doesn't have those particular headings, don't worry, just match the headings so you know where you got it from if you need to refer back to the text. On that note, don't forget to put page numbers in, because they'll help you when you write it. If you've got to do any references, if you've chosen any quotes, you're going to need the page number, and you don't want to come back right at the end and realise that you haven't written any of the page numbers down, so you can't use the quotes. I tend to make bold any bits of my notes that I think are particularly important or that I'm definitely going to use in my essay or moving forward in my revision. And I would also make sure that my quotes are in italics, just so they stand out as being quotes and have the page number next to them. Like I said, I have flashbacks to forgetting my page numbers and having written like the entire essay and then thinking, oh no, I've not put any page numbers in. So you have to scour through the entire article again to actually validate the quote that you've used. Otherwise you get penalised because you haven't referenced it properly. It's plagiarism without the page number. Step number 4 is to go through your notes again. This time you're not making any new notes, you're just going through the ones that you've already written, and with a different colour, red or I don't know, blue, whichever works with your eyes best, you want to write down your opinions or your critique. If you want to put them in different colours, then that works, because sometimes you just want to write down your thoughts, like in bullet points or in short sentences, just about how a certain thing makes you think about something else, or how you think it links to a different topic that is relevant. You can also write your own critique. So for example, we had to write an essay on like reproductive technologies in anthropology, and there was one reading that was written in the 70s. So that reading for me was outdated. This reference is almost 50 years old. It's outdated, it perhaps doesn't reflect the views of the time now, but it might have reflected the views then. And just engaging with a text like this is a skill. Saying why it perhaps is no longer valid, why it was valid at the time, why we should take stuff with a pinch of salt, whose article would perhaps benefit us better or should be read along with this one. Write all of that inference in red just as you feel it, because it will really help you when you come to write an essay or come to revise for the exam. You've got this inference already there. Step number 5 is to condense these notes. So you want to go through the notes again. I know it's a lot of going through your notes, and make them more condensed, essentially. So you might want to turn them into a table if you're specifically making notes for an essay. So you could have one side of the argument here, the other side of the argument there, and you put your notes, make sure you write down where you got these notes from, but on each side of the table. You could at this point be collating every article that you've read into kind of more of an essay plan, but even at the bottom of every page of notes for each journal that you've made, you could split it into what does this back up, what does this back up. And moving on from that, as I've done here, you can then almost start to plan your essay. So you put subtitles relating to the essay title, and then paste your notes that link to each section like that. it makes moving on to a proper plan for an essay a much more smooth process, and also helps you to make proper sense of the notes that you've made. Yeah, and that is my 5-step guide to making notes, specifically for writing essays. If you would like any other videos about starting uni, any tips on things that you're worried about, whether it's, essay writing, general planning tips, reading tips, anything that you want to know, let me know in the comments or into my DMs. But the comments is probably easier, because then other people can say, actually, yeah, I agree, I would like to know this too, and then I would know more or less what you all would like and gauge it properly that way. So do let me know and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and subscribe to me if you don't already, because I will be having the Masters vlogs back very, very soon, and with it more videos like this, because I'm going to be doing it myself at the time, so get ready for that. If you've ever wanted to know what Forensics Masters is like, now's your chance. Click that button. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!